The market was full of life that day. Voices rose in every direction. Aliens traded food, weapons, and strange crystals. Bright lights glowed above the stalls. Yet in the middle of that noise sat a girl who did not belong. She was small, her skin pale with a faint silver glow, her dark hair tangled as if she had not brushed it for days. Her eyes, big and sad, never met anyone else's gaze. She sat on a broken stone bench, her hands folded tightly in her lap. No one dared to come near her, not even the beggars who asked coins from everyone. People whispered when they passed. Some crossed the street, others threw her sharp looks, and then hurried away. They called her curse, yet everyone knew the stories. Anyone who touched the girl turned to dust. No warning, no chance, just a scream, and then nothing but gray powder on the ground. Many had tried, some by accident, some out of cruelty. None survived. The girl did not cry loudly, she did not shout, she simply kept her head down, but her silence was heavier than any scream. Her heart carried pain, loneliness, and shame. She had no friends, no family, no one brave enough to offer even a kind word. On the far side of the market, a human man walked among the stalls. He was new here, a traveler from far beyond the stars. His eyes scanned the strange colors and faces. But then he noticed something different. His gaze stopped at her. He saw the way people avoided her, the way merchants lowered their voices when pointing at her. He felt curiosity and then something else, a deep pull inside him. He could not explain it, but he knew she was not what they said. The man walked closer, step by step. Each time he moved, the crowd gasped. Whispers grew louder. "Stay away," one alien muttered. "You will die," another warned. But he did not stop. The girl lifted her head for the first time in hours. Her eyes met his, and for a moment she froze. Her lips parted as if she wanted to speak, but no words came. No one had ever walked straight to her before. He stopped a few feet away, studying her with calm eyes. She looked fragile, almost weightless, but there was strength hiding beneath her sadness. He tilted his head and asked softly, "Why does everyone fear you?" The girl's breath caught. She wanted to answer, but fear chained her voice. If she spoke, if she explained, maybe he too would run like the others. She lowered her gaze again, whispering something too quiet to hear. A cold wind passed through the market. Dust swirled near their feet. The human stood his ground. He did not laugh, did not mock her. He simply waited, patient and steady, as if her silence itself was worth listening to. The girl's hands trembled in her lap. Her whole life she had been treated like poison, like a living trap. Yet now someone's eyes were on her, not with fear but with curiosity, maybe even kindness. A sharp voice broke the moment. "Fool human, leave her, she will kill you," shouted a merchant. The crowd murmured in agreement, but the human did not move. He only glanced at them, then looked back at the girl, his calm expression unchanged. Her heart pounded. This was different. This was dangerous. And yet, for the first time in years, hope flickered in her chest. Someone had not turned away. Someone had not laughed or cursed her. Instead, he had reached her with a question, a simple human question. The girl's lips moved again, this time with words that carried across the silence. "I did not choose this," she whispered. Her voice was thin, breaking, but her pain was clear. Her confession hung in the air like a fragile thread. The human's eyes softened. He took one more step forward, ignoring the gasps of the crowd. His voice was steady when he replied, "Then maybe it's not the curse they think it is." The market seemed to hold its breath. The girl's chest rose and fell quickly. She did not know why this human was not afraid, but something inside her knew. This meeting was the beginning of everything. The market did not forget what it had seen. The whispers began the moment the human turned his eyes away from the girl. Every corner carried a voice, every stall shared a rumor. "He touched her with his eyes," someone said. "He will turn to dust soon." Another added. The girl sat frozen, her hands gripping the edge of the stone bench. Her breath came short and quick. She had lived with whispers all her life, but this was different. This time the whispers were not about her curse. They were about the man. She dared to lift her eyes again. The human was still there a few steps away, calm and steady. His gaze was not cruel, not mocking. He looked at her as though she was more than a shadow, more than a curse. The market hated that look. Children were pulled away by their mothers, merchants turned their backs, even the guards shifted uneasily. That man is mad, one hissed. No one survives her. Another spat. Yet the human did not move. He asked again, his voice firm. Why are you alone? His words were not loud, but the question cut through the noise. The girl pressed her lips shut, afraid. If she spoke too much, they might strike him. If she stayed silent, he might walk away. Her heart fought against her silence. She wanted to tell him the truth, that she never wanted this curse, that her people abandoned her, that her skin carried death not because she chose it, but because they forced it on her. But words stuck like stones in her throat. Around them, the crowd grew, restless. Some shouted warnings, some threw rocks at the ground near the human's feet. Leave her, they cried. You will bring death to us all. Their voices carried fear, but behind fear was something else, hatred. The human turned his head slowly toward the crowd. His eyes were sharp, his jaw tight. If you fear her, then leave, he said. His voice was calm, but carried steel. The crowd hissed, but no one dared to step closer. The girl stared at him in shock. No one had ever defended her, not once in all the years she had sat in this cursed place. Her chest felt heavy, her throat burned. For the first time, she wanted to believe. That night after the market closed, the human followed her quietly. She walked fast, her cloak torn and dragging in the dirt. She thought he had gone, but when she glanced back, he was there. His steps light, his eyes watchful. The streets grew darker. Narrow alleys twisted like snakes. She slipped into the ruins of an old temple. The stones cracked and broken. The ceiling, open to the stars, she sat in the corner hugging her knees. Her tears fell silently. The human stepped inside slowly, careful not to startle her. Why do you hide here? He asked. His voice was softer now. She shook her head, refusing to look at him. He could see her body trembling, not from cold, but from fear. I never wanted this, she whispered finally. Her voice broke as the words escaped. They call me cursed. They call me death, but I just wanted to live. Her shoulders shook. She covered her face with her hands. The human's chest tightened. He could see the truth now. She was no monster, no weapon. Just a girl chained by something she could not control. The whispers of the city had turned her into a ghost, but here she was, alive, broken, begging for someone to hear her. He stepped closer, not too close, but enough for her to feel his presence. I am not afraid of you, he said. His voice was firm, like a promise carved in stone. Her head snapped, up her eyes wide with disbelief. The ruins held their silence. The night breeze carried dust across the stones. The girl blinked through her tears, trying to understand why this human had not run, why he had not cursed her like the rest. The whispers of fear had surrounded her for years, but this man's voice cut through them all. For the first time in her life, she thought maybe, just maybe, she was not alone. The ruined temple stood quiet under the stars. Broken pillars leaned like old bones. The wind carried whispers through cracks in the stone. The alien girl sat in the shadows, her knees pulled to her chest, her face hidden. She looked like a ghost that wanted to fade away. The human stepped carefully inside, his boots crunching on scattered dust. He had followed her all the way from the market, not because of curiosity anymore, but because something inside told him she should not be left alone. He stopped a short distance away, not wanting to frighten her. She felt him there. Her heart raced. Her curse had always kept others far from her. But now someone had walked straight into her silence. She did not raise her head. Her voice trembled when she finally spoke. Why are you here? The human's reply was simple, steady. Because you looked like you needed someone. His words were calm, but they hit her like thunder. No one had ever said that to her. No one had ever cared. Her fingers dug into the stone floor. Her throat tightened. She wanted to scream at him to leave before her curse swallowed him too. But the words tangled in her chest. What if he was like the others? What if he turned to dust the moment she lost control? The temple walls seemed to press closer, silence stretching heavy between them. The human sat down on a piece of broken pillar, his movements slow, showing he had no fear. He watched her quietly, patient, waiting for her to speak again. She finally lifted her head, her silver glow faint under the moonlight. Tears stained her cheeks. Her eyes met his, and for a moment she forgot her fear. "I never wanted this curse," she whispered. Her voice cracked like glass. He leaned forward slightly, listening. She saw no fear in his eyes, only a deep sadness. "They used me," she continued. "They turned me into this." She held up her trembling hands. "No one can touch me. No one can help me. I destroy everything I come near." The human's jaw tightened. His mind raced with questions. Who were they? What did they do to her? But he kept his voice soft. "You are still here, you are still alive." Her eyes widened at his words. She expected anger, pity, or disgust. Instead, he gave her hope. Fragile, but real. Her lips trembled, and for the first time, she wanted to tell the truth to someone, anyone. Her voice dropped to a whisper, barely carried by the wind. "I don't want to be alone anymore." She pressed her forehead against her knees, sobbing quietly. It was not a demand, not a cry. For help, it was a plea, soft and desperate. The human felt the weight of those words. His chest ached. He understood now. Her curse was not only killing others, it was killing her from inside, piece by piece, day after day. He could not walk away, not after hearing that plea. He stood slowly, taking one step closer. The ground between them seemed dangerous, every stone carrying the memory of those who turned to dust. But still he moved, his voice steady. "You are not alone anymore." The girl gasped. Her whole body shook. She raised her head to see him standing nearer than anyone had dared in years. The air was thick, the silence sharp. Would he crumble like the rest? Would his body turn to dust before her eyes? But he did not flinch. He stood tall, his gaze locked on hers. For the first time, she felt the heavy chain of fear loosen. She saw in his eyes something stronger than the whispers of death. The night air grew still, as if even the stars paused to watch. The girl's heart beat wildly. She could not understand why this human did not fear her, why he had chosen to step closer. But deep inside, a spark of hope burned brighter than her curse. Her silent plea had been answered. The night air was heavy inside the ruined temple. The girl's words still lingered. "I don't want to be alone anymore." They echoed in the human's mind like a fragile bell. He looked at her, small, trembling, her eyes wet with fear and hope mixed together. He knew the danger. He had seen the dust of those who came too close, yet his heart pushed him forward, not away. Slowly, he raised his hand. The girl's eyes widened, her body stiffened. She shook her head sharply. "No, don't," she whispered. The human did not stop. His hand hovered inches away. The silence was so deep that even the distant wind seemed to hold its breath. The girl's chest rose and fell quickly, her silver glow flickering brighter. The crowd's warnings echoed in her mind. Anyone who touched her would die. But this human was different. His eyes held no fear, only calm, steady strength. Her throat tightened. "Please," she begged, her voice breaking. "Don't touch me, you'll disappear like the others." The human's lips curved into a faint smile. "Then let me be the one to test it," he said softly. His fingers brushed the air, moving closer. The girl squeezed her eyes shut, bracing for the sound of death, but it did not come. Instead, warmth spread where his hand nearly touched her, not cold, not deadly. It was like a soft light. The girl's breath caught. She dared to open her eyes. His hand was almost on hers, yet he was still there, still alive, still real. Her eyes grew wide, her voice a trembling whisper. Why are you not afraid?" The human's gaze stayed locked on hers. his voice steady. Because I don't see a curse, I see you. Her heart thudded painfully in her chest. For years she had been called poison, weapon, cursed child. Now a stranger spoke as if she was something else, as if she was worth touching, worth saving. She shook her head, unable to believe. You don't understand. People tried before, they all turned to dust. Why are you still here? The human lowered his hand slightly but did not back away. Maybe I'm different, he said. Or maybe it was never truly you who destroyed them. The girl's lips parted. Her thoughts spiraled. Could it be true? Could it be that her touch was not the curse itself? The idea frightened her more than the curse because it meant hope, and hope was dangerous. A sharp crack echoed outside the temple. The girl flinched, her senses sharpened. They followed, she whispered. Her eyes darted to the entrance. Shadows flickered across the stones, whispers of hunters closing in. The human glanced at her, then at the broken doorway. His hand went to the blade at his side. His voice was calm. Then we don't have much time. The girl's breath quickened. Fear returned. She had run from hunters before. They always came, always trying to take her power. But this time she wasn't alone. This time someone stood between her and the world. He extended his hand again, not touching, but offering. Come with me, he said. His voice was not a command, but a promise. The girl stared at his open palm, her mind screaming that it was a trap, her heart begging her to trust. Her body shook as she raised her hand, inch by inch. The glow from her skin brightened, the air crackled. For a moment she hesitated, but then she whispered, If you disappear, I'll never forgive myself. Their hands almost touched, closer than anyone had dared in years. The hunter's footsteps grew louder, weapons clinking, the night pressing heavy. Yet all she could see was the human's eyes, steady, unflinching, waiting. The girl's hand trembled above his, and though the gap between them was small, it felt like the distance between life and death. And in that fragile space, the first step toward breaking the curse had begun. The hunter's footsteps echoed outside the temple, but inside the world had shrunk to only two souls, the cursed girl and the human who dared to stand near her. Their hands hovered close, the air humming with energy. She pulled back at the last moment, her chest rising and falling as if she had run miles. The human lowered his hand slowly. His eyes stayed calm. It's all right, he said. I won't force you. His voice was steady. His patience surprised her. She had always seen others reach in greed, in cruelty, never in kindness. Her lips trembled. Her voice was soft. You don't know what I am. She turned away, hugging herself. Her silver glow flickered like a fading flame. If you did, you would not stand so close. The human stepped back only slightly, giving her space but refusing to leave. Then tell me, he said. Tell me what they did to you. The words pierced her heart. Memories rose like fire. Memories she had buried deep. She closed her eyes, and the past spilled out. They called me a gift when I was born, she whispered. But I was not a gift, I was a weapon. Her voice cracked. My people used me. They poured strange energy into my body. They made me untouchable so their enemies would fear us. She clutched her arms tightly. But the power never left. It clung to me, burned into me, and I could not stop it. Tears slid down her cheeks. Her voice grew harsher. Anyone who tried to comfort me, anyone who held me, they died. Even those I loved. I begged them to take the curse away, but they called it destiny. Her shoulders shook violently. She covered her face. So they left me, abandoned me here where strangers could watch me suffer. They told stories about my curse, turned me into a warning. They said if anyone touched me, death would follow, and soon. Everyone believed. The human's jaw clenched. His chest burned with anger. Not at her, but at the people who had chained her life to fear. He took a slow step forward. You were a child, he said firmly. They had no right to make you this way. Her eyes snapped to him, wide with shock. No one had ever said those words before. No one had ever dared to call it wrong. Her breath shook. You don't hate me? He shook his head. How could I hate you? You are not the curse. You are the one suffering because of it. Her heart thundered in her chest. The weight she had carried alone for so long felt lighter with each word he spoke. Still, fear gnawed at her. "But if you touch me, if I lose control, you will turn to dust like the rest." The human's voice did not waver. "Then let me be the one who proves the truth." Outside, the hunters' voices grew louder. "Find the cursed one," they shouted. "She cannot escape." The temple trembled with their steps, but inside, the girl's tears glistened as she stared at the man who saw her not as a weapon, not as death, but as a person. For the first time in years, she felt the sharp edge of loneliness soften. His words carved a path through the chains of her past, and though she still feared, though her body still shook, a spark of courage began to grow. The human's hand rested on his weapon, his eyes scanning the doorway. "They're coming for you," he said, "but you are not alone anymore." The girl's breath caught. Her fear battled with a fragile new hope. She whispered, "Why? Why would you fight for me?" His reply was simple, steady. "Because no one should live as a prisoner of lies." The hunter's shadows grew closer, but the truth between them had already changed everything. The temple walls shook as heavy boots struck the ground outside. Shadows moved across the broken doorway. Voices echoed in the night, harsh and commanding. "Find the cursed one," a hunter growled. "Bring her alive if you can. Dead if you must." The girl's whole body trembled. She had heard those voices before, rough and cruel. They belonged to men who wanted to chain her, sell her, or turn her into a weapon again. Her silver glow flickered brighter, a sign of her panic. "They found me," she whispered. The human glanced at her, calm but sharp. His hand rested on the hilt of his blade. His eyes were steady. "Stay behind me," he said. His voice carried quiet strength. The girl stared at him, confused. No one had ever put themselves between her and danger. The hunters entered, tall figures with masks that hid their faces. Their armor clanked as they stepped over broken stones. Strange weapons glowed in their hands. They spread out in a circle, trapping the human and the girl inside the ruined temple. "There she is," one of them sneered. "The cursed child." Another laughed. "And a fool human guarding her. Do you want to die, stranger?" Their voices dripped with mockery. They were certain of victory. The girl's hands clenched tightly. "You don't understand," she whispered to the human. "They will kill you. They always kill anyone who stands with me." Her eyes burned. With fear, her breath came fast, but the human did not move from his place. His voice was calm and strong. "If you want her, you will have to go through me first." The hunters roared with laughter. "Brave words for a dead man," one spat. They raised their weapons, sharp energy humming through the air. The girl stepped back, her glow trembling like fire about to burst. "Stop!" she cried. "Please. I can't control it. If they touch me, if they touch you." The human cut her off, his voice firm. "Then trust me." The first hunter lunged forward. His weapon flashed in the moonlight. The human moved quickly, drawing his blade steel. Clashed against alien metal, sparks flew across the temple floor. The hunter staggered back. Surprised at the human's speed, the others moved in. Their shadows danced on the broken walls. The girl pressed herself against the stone, her heart pounding. Every step they took closer to her made the curse inside her stir. She whispered, "Don't come near, don't come near." But no one listened. The human struck again, swift and sharp. His blade cut across one hunter's arm. The alien cried out, stumbling. The others hesitated for a breath, shocked that a human could stand against them. The girl's eyes widened. He was fighting for her, truly fighting. The hunters regrouped, fury rising in their voices. "Take them both," the leader barked. "We will tear the human apart and drag the girl back in chains." Their boots pounded as they charged together. The human braced himself. His blade flashed, but he was only one man. The girl's body shook violently. Her glow spread brighter, the curse inside her begging to escape. If she released it, everyone would turn to dust, even him. Tears welled in her eyes. "Please, stop fighting for me. You'll die. I don't want you to die." Her voice broke, but the human's answer was a fierce shout as he struck another hunter down. "Then don't give up on me." The hunters snarled, circling, their weapons aimed at the girl now. They wanted her power. They wanted her curse. But before they could reach, the human spread his arms wide, blocking her completely. The girl's breath froze. No one had ever shielded her before. No one had ever stood so close, knowing death might be the price. Yet here he was, holding the line against enemies, far stronger than him, and for the first time in her cursed life she did not feel like prey. She felt like someone worth protecting. The ruined temple shook with the clash of steel and the roar of hunters. Dust fell from the broken ceiling as blades sparked in the dark. The girl stood frozen, her glow flickering like fire trapped in glass. She could not move. She could barely breathe. The human fought with speed and fury, his blade moving in arcs of light. One hunter fell, another staggered back, but more pressed forward, circling. Their weapons hummed with deadly energy. They outnumbered him, and still he stood tall, blocking their path to her. "Run!" he shouted over his shoulder. His voice was sharp, filled with command. The girl gasped, her hands clutching her chest. "But if I leave?" He cut her off. "Run now, or they will take you." Her legs trembled, but her body obeyed. She turned and darted through a side passage of the temple. Her cloak brushed against stone, her breath quick and shallow. Behind her, the clash of battle echoed like thunder. The hunters cursed as she slipped away. "After her," their leader barked. Half of them broke from the fight, chasing into the night. The others stayed behind, trying to finish the human. The girl ran through the ruins, past broken pillars and crumbling arches. The cold night air stung her face. Her silver glow lit the path like a lantern, making it impossible to hide. Her heart pounded. "They will catch me. They always catch me," she whispered. But then, heavy footsteps joined hers. She glanced back and saw the human, blood on his arm, dirt on his face, but alive. His eyes locked on hers. "Keep moving," he commanded. She stumbled but kept running. They burst out of the temple ruins into the open wasteland. The ground stretched wide, cracked earth glowing faintly under the stars. The hunters poured out behind them, weapons raised, shouts tearing through the night. Energy blasts scorched. The ground explosions of light flashed past her. She flinched, nearly falling, but the human grabbed her hand, pulling her forward. For a moment, her heart froze. His touch should have destroyed him, but he did not turn to dust. His hand was warm, solid, alive. The girl's eyes widened in disbelief, her breath caught. How are you holding me?" The human did not answer. His jaw set, his legs carrying them faster. His grip on her hand was firm, steady, as if her curse had no power over him at all. Behind them, hunters roared in fury, realizing what they had seen. "He touched her, he lives," one shouted. "Catch them both." They ran through the wasteland, weaving between jagged rocks and sharp ridges. The night wind howled, carrying the sound of pursuit. The girl's chest burned, her legs weak, but she could not stop. The human's strength pulled her forward, his presence keeping her from collapsing. Arrows of light struck the rocks, scattering debris. The hunters were relentless. Their shadows stretched long in the moonlight. They were faster, stronger, but the human's determination burned brighter. The girl stumbled again, nearly falling. He caught her, lifting her onto his back without hesitation. She gasped, pressing, her forehead against his shoulder. "You should leave me, you will die because of me." Her voice shook with tears. His answer came through clenched teeth as he ran. "I would rather die running with you than live leaving you behind." The wasteland stretched endlessly. Stars burned above like silent witnesses. Every step echoed with danger. Every breath carried the weight of choice. Behind them, the hunters drew closer, their weapons glowing, their voices filled with rage. But ahead in the distance, a dark line of caves broke the horizon. The human's eyes narrowed. "We can make it," he said. His voice carried a strength she had never known. The girl lifted, her head, her tears mixing with dust, and for the first time she believed him. The chase was not over. The hunters would not stop. But together, hand in hand, they had turned fear into fire, and the night itself seemed to tremble at their defiance. The caves loomed like dark mouths against the wasteland. Jagged stone teeth rose high, shadows swallowing the moonlight. The human carried the girl inside, his steps quick but careful. Behind them, the hunter's shouts echoed, growing faint as the cave swallowed sound. He set her down gently on the cold rock floor. His chest rose and fell with heavy breaths. His arm still bled from the earlier fight, but his grip on her hand had never loosened. The girl sat in shock, staring at their joined hands. Her glow shimmered faintly against his. "Skin, you're alive," she whispered. Her voice trembled. "I'm touching you, but you're alive." Her eyes filled with disbelief, as if she was seeing a miracle unfold before her. The human lifted his gaze to hers, calm but curious. "It seems your curse does not work on me," he said. His tone was steady, though inside he felt the same wonder she did, her lips parted, her whole body shaking. No one has ever touched me without turning to dust." Her tears spilled. "Do you know what this means?" He shook his head slightly. "It means you were never meant to be alone." The words hit her like lightning. Her heart pounded. She had spent her whole life as a weapon, feared, abandoned, and now in a single night a human had broken the chains of her curse with something as simple as a hand. She reached up slowly, her fingers trembling. She touched his arm, then his shoulder, testing again, each time her breath caught, expecting his body to crumble into dust, but he stayed solid, steady, alive. Her sob turned into a shaky laugh. "It's true, it's really true." The human studied the glow that spread where her skin met his. It was not burning, not painful. Instead, it felt warm, almost comforting, as if her energy flowed into him, and his body absorbed it like sunlight. He spoke softly. "Maybe I am different. Maybe my body resists what others cannot. Or maybe your curse was never meant to destroy me." Her silver eyes met his, wide with wonder. "Then maybe you were meant for me?" Her words slipped out before she could stop them. Her cheeks flushed and she quickly turned her face away, ashamed of her boldness. The human did not laugh. He did not mock. He simply said, "If fate brought me here, then I will not run from it." Her breath caught again. Her chest felt both heavy and light. Hope, fear, and something deeper swirled inside her. For the first time, she felt the warmth of belonging. The cave around them seemed less dark, less cold, as if their bond itself lit the shadows, but their peace did not last. A distant echo of footsteps carried through the cave walls. The hunters were still searching, their voices bouncing faintly. "Find them. The girl cannot escape." Fear rushed back into her chest. She clutched his arm. "They won't stop. They will hunt me until I'm gone." The human covered her hand with his, firm and gentle. "Then let them hunt," he said. "We will face them together." Her eyes burned with tears. She had always believed she would die alone, unloved, untouched. But now, as she sat beside the one man her curse could not harm, she dared to believe in something else. Freedom. The bond between them was not only survival, it was something deeper. Something even the hunters could not break. And as the night stretched on, she realized her silent prayer had already been answered. Not by magic, not by chance, but by a human who reached out when no one else dared. The cave trembled with the sound of heavy boots. The hunters were close now, their voices echoing through the stone tunnels. Their words carried hatred and greed. "The cursed one is near," one growled. "Do not let the human take her." The girl pressed herself against the wall, her glow flickering wildly. Fear clawed at her chest. "They will kill you," she whispered to the human, her eyes filled with tears. "I cannot let you fight for me anymore." The human gripped his blade tighter, his shoulders tense. "I have no choice," he said firmly. "If I leave you, they will chain you again. I will not let that happen." His voice was iron, steady even in the face of death. The girl shook her head, her whole body trembling. "If I release my power, it will kill them all," she said. "But it will kill you too." Her voice broke. "I cannot lose the only one who touched me without fear." The footsteps grew louder. Torches flickered at the mouth of the cavern. Hunters poured in, armored and armed. Their leader stepped forward, his mask glowing red. "Hand her over, human," he sneered. "Your fight is already lost." The human placed himself in front of the girl, his voice sharp. "You will not take her." The hunters laughed cruelly. You are one man, the leader mocked. And she is nothing but a weapon. He raised his hand, giving the signal. The hunters charged, their weapons glowing with deadly energy. Steel clashed with alien blades. The human fought fiercely, striking with speed and strength. His blade sang through the air. Sparks lit the cave. One hunter fell, then another. But more pressed in, too many. Surrounding him, cutting off every escape. The girl's heart pounded. She could not breathe. Every swing of his sword was slower now. His body tired, blood dripping from his wounds. She cried out, "Stop, please stop, they will kill you." Her glow grew brighter, the curse inside her screaming to be released. The power surged like fire under her skin. Her tears spilled as she whispered, "If I let it go, everyone will turn to dust." The human, blood on his face, staggered but still stood, his eyes locked on hers. His voice was hoarse but strong. "Then trust me," he said. "Trust me with everything." Her chest ached. Her fear battled with the memory of his hand in hers. The impossible truth that he did not die when he touched her. Could it be different with him? Could she release it and still keep him alive? The hunters struck again. One blade slashed across his side. He groaned, nearly falling, but forced himself up. His voice thundered, "Do it! Set it free!" The girl screamed, "No, you will die." He staggered, then smiled faintly through pain. "If I die freeing you, then it is worth it." His words carved into her soul. His eyes burned with truth. He was not afraid. Tears blurred her vision. Her body shook as the power burst from her. A wave of silver light exploded outward. The hunters screamed, their bodies crumbling into dust. The cave walls shook, echoes of death filling the air. When the light faded, silence remained. Dust lay thick across the floor where the hunters once stood. The girl collapsed to her knees, gasping, her heart breaking as she turned toward the human. He was still standing, weak and bloodied, but alive. His body glowed faintly with the same silver light as hers. His voice was soft. "See, I told you." Her eyes widened, her tears falling harder. He had survived. He had endured the curse that had destroyed everyone else. Her sobs filled the cave as she whispered, "You are different. You are the only one who can touch me." The human knelt beside her, resting his hand on hers without fear. "And you are no curse," he said, his voice gentle but strong. "You are life." The cave was silent after the storm of light. Only the sound of the girl's sobs echoed against the stone. The ground was covered in gray dust. The hunters gone, turned into nothing by her unleashed power. Yet the human still stood, his chest rising and falling, his body glowing faintly with silver light. The girl stared at him, her eyes wide, tears streaking down her face. "You should be gone," she whispered, her voice breaking. "No one survives me. No one." Her whole body shook as she crawled toward him, terrified he would crumble any second. But he did not. His hand reached out, steady and warm. His voice was soft but strong. "I told you I am not afraid." He brushed her cheek gently. The warmth of his touch spread through her like sunlight, her breath caught. She leaned into his palm, her tears falling onto his skin. "How is this possible?" she whispered. "You should be dust like the rest. Why are you still here?" The human looked down at his glowing arm, silver energy weaving through his veins like threads of light. "Maybe the curse was never meant to destroy me," he said, his tone thoughtful. "Maybe it was waiting for someone like me." The girl's heart pounded. Her curse, the thing that chained her life, the thing that turned love into death, was breaking before her eyes. She dared to move closer, trembling. Her hands rose slowly. She pressed them to his chest. She gasped, her whole body expecting him to vanish. But instead she felt the steady beat of his heart beneath her palms, strong and alive. The glow between them flared brighter, wrapping around them both in a shimmering halo. "It's changing," she whispered in awe. "The curse, it's leaving me." Her voice trembled. Her tears fell harder. This time they were not only tears of pain but of release. The human pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. Her small frame shook against him. He whispered into her hair, "You were never the curse. They lied to you. They feared you. But this was never death. It was power waiting for love to unlock it." Her breath hitched. She clung to him. Her curse, the prison that killed everyone who touched her, was gone, broken by the courage of one man who refused to fear. Her sobs filled the cave, but now they were mixed with laughter, fragile and new. The silver glow dimmed slowly, leaving behind only her soft skin and the warmth of his embrace. For the first time in her life, she felt the weight lift. She was not poison, not death, not cursed. She was free. The human looked into her eyes, his own glowing faintly with the same silver energy. "We share it now," he said gently. "Your power lives in me too. It will never destroy either of us." Her lips parted, her eyes wide with wonder. "Then I am not alone anymore," she whispered. Her voice cracked. "Not ever again." He smiled, lifting her chin so she would meet his eyes. "Never again." The cave seemed brighter, the air itself lighter, as if the curse that had weighed the world had finally broken. Outside, the night stretched calm and endless. The stars above shone with new light. The girl leaned against him, exhausted but filled with peace. For the first time, she could feel another heartbeat against hers, warm and steady. She closed her eyes, whispering, "Thank you." The human tightened his arms around her, his voice low but fierce. "You don't need to thank me. You only needed someone to see the truth." And in that cave, among the dust of her enemies and the ashes of her chains, the curse was broken forever. The first light of dawn touched the wasteland. Its golden rays spilled into the cave, painting the stone walls with warmth. The cursed night was gone, and so was the curse itself. The girl sat quietly beside the human, her head resting against his shoulder. Her silver glow had faded into a soft shimmer, no longer violent, no longer deadly. She lifted her hand slowly, staring at it in wonder. Once it had been a symbol of death. Now it was only a hand. Trembling but free, she reached out and touched the human's face. Her fingers brushed his cheek gently. For the first time, she felt warmth without fear. Her eyes filled with tears. "I can touch," she whispered. "I can finally touch." Her voice cracked, a mixture of disbelief and joy. She pressed her forehead against his, closing her eyes as if afraid the moment would vanish. The human smiled faintly, his arm wrapping around her back, his voice calm and steady. "You were never meant to live. In chains, you were always meant to be free." Her chest ached with emotions she could not name. She remembered the years of whispers, the mocking crowds, the loneliness that had eaten her alive. And now, all of it shattered with one truth. She was no curse, she was no weapon, she was simply herself. They stepped outside the cave together. The air was cool and fresh, the world stretched wide before them, but it no longer felt empty. The girl walked close to him, her hand in his, every step proving her freedom. In the distance, alien travelers stared in shock. They had heard the stories. They had believed the curse. But here she was, walking beside a human who held her hand. Without fear, the whispers began again. But this time they were not of hatred, they were of awe. "She is free," one voice said. "The curse is broken," another murmured. The crowd that once mocked her now watched in silence, unable to deny the truth their eyes showed them. The girl's heart pounded. Fear threatened to rise, but the human squeezed her hand gently. His voice low, meant only for her. "Let them see. Let them know you are not what they feared." Her eyes lifted. She stood taller. Her silver hair, catching the sunlight for the first time, she did not hide. She walked forward with him at her side, her voice soft but strong. "I am not death," she whispered. "I am life." The human smile grew, pride burning in his eyes. "You were always life," he said. Together they moved through the streets, the same market where people once turned their backs now stood silent. The stone bench where she had once sat alone lay in the corner, Empty, forgotten. She paused, staring at it. Then she turned away, never to return to that seat of shame again. The world seemed to shift around them, the chains of her past gone, the whispers of fear replaced by whispers of hope. Her steps grew steadier, lighter, every moment proving she was no longer bound. She looked up at him, her lips trembling with a smile. "You saved me," she whispered. He shook his head softly. "No. You saved yourself. I only reached out when no one else dared." Her tears fell again, but this time they were tears of peace. She leaned into him, her voice quiet. "Then let me stay by your side, if you will have me." His answer was simple, his hand tightening around hers, his voice steady as the dawn. "I would never let you go." The sun rose higher, its light breaking across the wasteland, and so began a new story, not of curses, not of fear, but of hope. A girl once untouchable and a human who dared to touch. Together they walked into the future hand in hand as the galaxy whispered of the miracle they had created.